Hey guys, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro DeMarion back with another rendition of our Bass Fishing 101 series. I asked for some topics on Instagram, and this is one of the topics that I received that people wanted to see some information about, and that's wake baits. Admittedly, it's not something I do a ton, but I do have some experience catching fish on wake baits, and I have caught important tournament fish or two, over the last couple of years on wake baits. So let's start off with our setup. This is what I throw a topwater prop bait in with a lot in Florida. This is pretty much the same setup I would throw a longer, like a slender wake bait with. And this is an MGX Extreme. This is the high gear ratio. It's an 8-to-1. It's a very light reel. It's finessey. A lot of these wake baits are not very heavy, so you want to be able to cast them far. You want a reel that's able to do that. I'm going to use something like the MGX Extreme in that situation. I'm going to be also be able to do very precise casts with this. And I'm going to use a Veritas. This is a 7-foot medium Veritas. And I'm going to show you why I would like to use the medium. And that's because that's the kind of bow I want. I want there to be a delay in that rod. Because when you're throwing a treble hook bait, I'm going to use monofilament as well. That's another thing that's key, keeping that bait up in the water column. And it's also going to have a little bit of stretch. This is a graphite rod. Add some monofilament, you're going to get even more of a delay because of the stretch. A lot of times the fish will eat the bait. You don't want to pull it away from them. So that's why I would use this setup in that situation. This is a Berkeley. This is a surge shad. This is a 130 size. This is pretty much what I would throw of this style of a wake bait. This style of wake bait, some of the other popular ones back in the day, the Cotton Cordell Redfin, really popular in the Ozarks. That's one of the more popular wake baits out in that region. There's balsa ones as well. The Buckeye lures had a balsa one that was good. A lot of balsa lures were good, and they're very light, so this would be a good setup to cast it on. A lot of guys will use a spinning rod with monofilament because the weight of the lure is so light, so they can cast a little bit easier. I prefer the casting rod if I can get away with it, but I will use a spinning rod with monofilament or braid with like a mono leader or something if need be, if it's really light though. But let's go to the table. Let's kind of talk about a couple more and go over a few more things. So here's our Berkeley Surge Shad. This is the 130 size. I like this size, this profile. This can mimic anything from a shad to a herring to anything kind of dying at the surface. This is going to be a really, really good lure to mimic that. This is going to be good around the spawn time. I know that's really where it's popular in the Ozarks and stuff. Anywhere from the spring, the pre-spawn, spawn. I mean, they will come up off beds and get it, and then the post-spawn, I think it's really hot as well there. And most of the country, it's about the same window. It's very much a spring and fall where it really shines. In the fall, when the shad are really grouping up and fish are getting the backs of creeks and things like of that nature, it can be really good in those situations as well. So this is a more slender profile one. It's going to kind of go like that and shimmy back and forth right underneath the surface. You want to make sure that it's kind of staying right on the surface and just creating a little V wake right underneath the surface, and that's a lot of times where your bite's going to come. You can throw this pretty far, this surge shad, especially with this setup. I think I can throw it pretty far. A herring lake is a good place where you could throw this when those bluebacks are spawning in the spring, like the later spring. You can make very long casts with it and just wake it there. It's real subtle, really good blueback herring mimicking bait right there too. So here's a little bit fatter profile body bait. This is a little custom painted one. So that one's going to kind of wide wobble a little bit more at the surface, just create a little bit different kind of disturbance. This one's a bluegill pattern, so another good thing to make fish mad around the spawn is a bluegill. Try to eat their eggs. So wake bait's a good thing to throw around there. Really, this little wider body one, good around shallow cover. You can put it into some tight windows because it's a little smaller. And I mean, I've thrown wake baits that are even smaller than this one, and they're really good for those tight spots. Kind of same thing. It's just going to wake up there on the surface. throw at the same times of year. I mean, spring and fall is where a wake bait really shines. And these are the two main styles you're going to use. As far as this style goes, the man's -1, baby -1, those are kind of the ones that I would say started the wake bait game. And I still use some of those once in a while. But Berkeley makes a good one as well. And, there's a lot of other good ones on the market. But this is your traditional kind of wide wobbling wake bait. So guys, we've talked about our setup for wake baits. We talked about a couple different styles of wake baits, the origins of wake baiting, when it kind of sells to spring, fall, generally is when those are the best. That's kind of when they shine, is for the wake bait seasons. But thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to hit subscribe for more content. If you have any questions, if you'd like to see any video topics, please feel free to shoot me a comment, and I will try to get those going as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, guys, and tight lines.